Hey everyone, two quick reminders before we start this next episode. We're still accepting applications for the Black Student Success Scholarship until April 30th.
And our fundraiser for our new online community to connect Black students and professionals ends this Friday, April 16th.
So if you want to donate to the cause or apply to the scholarship, both links are in the description.
Okay, let's get into the podcast. Enjoy, everyone.
I never asked for help. I should have. I don't know what. There was like one character I was just putting in wrong, and I'm like, oh, it just looked strange, like the way that it was oriented. I thought it was either an I or an L, and I couldn't tell. But I finally got the right combination because there are more than like one I or L, and it worked.
It worked.
Yes, they make good passwords, but it was very, very hard to figure out what it was.
Yeah. So watch your I's and L's, everybody. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, where we bring you insight and guidance from successful Black professionals. My name is Selvin. Of course, we appreciate the support. So today, we're going to continue our student series by talking to Arianna Balton. She is a freshman at Marquette University. So she's going to talk about what her experience has been like and things that she's looking to accomplish with the goals that she has. So Arianna, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So we're going to start the show how we always do by asking you, who is Arianna Balton?
Well, to start, I am 19 years old. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised. I'm a really adventurous person, inquisitive. I love to try new things. I love to go different places. I love traveling. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out my place in the world, but try to make as much of an impact as I can because I'm very service oriented, and especially when it comes to Black issues and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Nice. So, yeah, it's going to be nice to actually kind of get your perspective on how things have come up for you and then what you're looking to do now that you're in college. So let's talk about what your childhood was like. What was your family makeup? What were the things that you felt like had an impact on you to basically make you into the person that you are today?
Mm-hmm. I come from a family of 8. I have 7 older siblings. Most of them are way older than I am. I have one younger sister. She's 14 now. But my oldest sibling is in his 40s. So pretty large makeup. So I had a lot of exposure to different things from the 90s, the 80s, stuff like that. So I've had a pretty well-rounded, I guess, amalgamation of different pop culture things that I'm aware of. And also because they were older, they were able to teach me a lot of things that they had learned themselves when they were my age. But I'd say that my childhood was very fun. I grew up in the digital age, so it was a lot of video games, YouTube, stuff like that. But I also read a lot of books. And because I've been on social media for quite a long time, I learned a lot of things about Black issues and different things that was happening with us. Because just being on Facebook, you see like a random flyer about different stuff. So some people would, I think they would like turn up their nose with the fact that you're learning stuff on social media. But a lot of things that people have just been exposed to over the summer, I've known about that since I was like 8 because of social media. So I wouldn't have known that otherwise. I probably would not have had the strong values that I have today if I hadn't known about those things, because how are you going to care about something if you don't know about it?
Yeah. I think it's, social media has taken over for the last how many years, and it's continuing to grow and is, becoming at least just a starting point in terms of taking in information, and then hopefully can kind of lead you to either confirm what you've seen through credible resources or whatever the case is. So, yeah, I mean, definitely nothing to turn your nose to, especially how much so many different companies are, even using social media for their purposes. So what is it like being the youngest out of 8?
Second youngest.
What is that like being?
Very, very interesting. I feel like because when I was a baby, basically just born, most of my siblings were teenagers. I had another brother that was 4 years older than me, but I guess you kind of have to grow fast to be on their level to communicate with them. Like with any family, you have your issues, but.
Okay. Okay. Hey, well, hopefully there's some perks to being one of the youngest. Maybe that means you
Yeah,
get away
money.
with more. Yeah, exactly. Nice, nice. Okay, so let's talk about what your major is. And once you actually got to school, you decided to choose a major. What was that, and then why did you choose it?
I chose innovation, entrepreneurship, and marketing. I chose that because when I'm older, I'm also a pre-law scholar, so that's where the what I'm going to say comes into. But I want to be a defense attorney, so I want to get my JD like right after undergrad. And also, when I'm a bit older, I would like to open a nonprofit, and that plays into it because I chose innovation entrepreneurship because I wanted to. That was one of the things I was looking for when I was signing up for different schools if they had something to do with entrepreneurship. Since I do want to open a nonprofit, and I felt like that would be a good foundation to have. And I chose marketing just because I always enjoyed marketing. It just seems cool to me. I like to think about how people are trying to sell different products or even themselves because people are brands a lot more now. But that was always something that was intriguing to me. And
Yeah, it sounds like a couple unique things to put together: the marketing and the pre-law that you're kind of getting into. But it sounds like it could, for what your goals are, it sounds like that's going to be a pretty good and unique mix and kind of make you stand out in that way. Were there some things that you did in high school that are related to marketing or related to law, just to kind of prep you before you got to where you're at now?
um, I took an entrepreneurship class my senior year of high school. That helped me kind of get more into the business mindset. We also have courses like that at Marquette now. So it's pretty good to kind of get a glimpse into what my future could possibly be like. And in terms of marketing, I didn't really do anything in high school, but recently I would, I've always wanted to start a podcast and I did with my friend. And I've been like trying to toy with different stuff I can do for marketing. And I started an Instagram for my cat. And that was really just to see, I'm like, how big can I get it? It's very, very small, but it's still building skills, you know. And I also was able to do an apprenticeship over winter break where we were talking about different COVID messaging when it comes to Black and Brown people. And there was a lot of different marketing stuff we did with that and design. And I definitely learned a lot more than I knew before because I had no idea where to start doing different design stuff for marketing. So that was very, very helpful. And it's nice to kind of get a I guess, doorway into what life could be like.
Yeah, yeah. Was it a difficult decision to try to get into more things once you started school, or was that something that you were really looking forward to?
That's definitely something I was looking forward to. When I was in high school, I definitely tried to do as much as possible to kind of just diversify the skill sets that I had and also just figure out what things that I enjoy and don't enjoy because I was kind of coming close up to being doing what I do for the rest of my life. So I need to figure out, well, I don't need to, you don't have to, but I wanted to figure out at least somewhat what that might look like for me and different, I guess, just trying to not waste my time doing things that I know already don't have any value for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Being more concise and being more efficient with, whatever those goals are. I don't think it's never too early to start to try to figure those things out, or at least start to experiment so that you can narrow down until you eventually find what you're trying to find. So that's pretty good. So let's talk about the admissions experience. You said that you grew up in Milwaukee. Marquette was obviously one of the schools that you were, was on your radar. What was that whole admission experience like when it came to, choosing schools and then eventually going through that application process?
Mhm. It was very, very interesting. um, my top school actually was Howard. That had been my dream school since maybe the fifth grade. And I had a few other schools that I was looking at, but Marquette ultimately won out because I got a full tuition scholarship, and can't really beat that. But it was interesting in the sense that I don't like asking people for help. Something I'm working on, and I think I've gotten better at it. But especially during the admissions process, I really was not trying to get help from anyone. I don't like being dependent on others, but I from the moment that I got where there was a scholarship portal that you had to log into to be able to sign up for different scholarships at Marquette. And from the moment that I got it, it did not work for me. So I was just every once in a while I would try it again, it wouldn't work. And I didn't get in until maybe a week before everything was due. And I didn't start doing anything because I'm like, I can't even get in. Like, what's the point? I was like, I don't even really want to go here that much. Even though Marquette was a good school, like at first I did not want to go to Marquette. But then we toured it in my Avid class and maybe junior or senior year. And I actually really liked the campus. And I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Like if I have to stay home, then I really wouldn't mind going to Marquette. But I had to tell my teacher that I needed a letter of recommendation. Like not much, he didn't have much time. And I also had to tell my principal. So that was kind of bad. But it all worked out because I got the scholarship, but I literally was doing it at the very last minute. So my advice is don't do that. Ask for help if you need it because that was not a fun experience.
Yeah. So, technology, can make the best and the worst of a situation. It sounds like it was on that latter side for you, but fortunately you got the help. Was it a matter of just like, okay, I need to ask for help to try to get this together, or in terms of pulling teeth to do that, was that kind of what that situation was?
I never asked for help. I should have. I don't know what. There was like one character I was just putting in wrong, and I'm like, oh, it just looked strange, like the way that it was oriented. I thought it was either an I or an L, and I couldn't tell. Mm-hmm. But I finally got the right combination because there are more than like one I or L, and it worked. Yes, they make good passwords, but it was very, very hard to figure out what it was.
Yeah. So watch your I's and L's, everybody. All right. So now let's talk about now that you're actually in school and, whether you've had a chance to actually be on campus or you've been kind of doing things from home. What has the experience like now that you're actually a Marquette student?
It's pretty fun. It's different, obviously, because of the pandemic, but I'm having a good time. I do live on campus currently, and I stay in my dorm for the most part, but I've still been able to meet people through social media. That makes it a lot easier because if this was 10, 15 years ago, I don't know what would be happening, but that's a good added experience. And I also have been able to make friends with people that are in my same scholarship cohort. And I also have been able to meet people through our Black Student Council and make friends that way. So that's been really nice. And academically, it's not hard. Like college isn't really hard, the content. It's just hard to keep yourself focused and make sure you're doing everything that you need to do and make sure that you're studying, because that is a big thing I struggle with even currently. I did not study in high school. And then you have to study on such a high level in college. That's a really, really big shift. So I maybe try to figure that out either before school starts, but even if you don't, most people like struggle for at least the first semester. So it's not really that big of a deal, but just be cognizant of that coming into school because that will be a learning curve.
Yeah. Did you have any issues with time management as well, or has it just been the studying on the higher level that's been the main struggle?
My high school, we had this schedule of time that we called mods. And whenever you had free mods, you could just do whatever you wanted to do. And most of us studied, or we were encouraged to study. So it really hasn't been time management so much because I was kind of prepared for that in high school. But just studying has been an issue because I would maybe only study for finals. And then I would get like maybe B's on every quiz and I'd ace the like final. I'm like, maybe if I just study, then I was like, no. Too much work. Yeah. But it's just having to learn that. But yeah, not really time management.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, fortunately you had that experience before to kind of work through that and hopefully that there are some tools in place when it comes to the studying itself, like whether it's with a specific class or just study tips in general, that you're still even able to access even just from your dorm room, and you're not able to kind of move as much on campus. So that's hopefully that's something that'll, get better once, that first year is done. So now what is it like being a Black student at Marquette? You mentioned the BSC and having, your interactions with that group. What has just the entire experience been like for you?
I can't really give a very, I guess, nuanced experience because I haven't been off campus or like even very much on campus that much. But I would say it can be polarizing at times, depending on like sometimes you never really know what someone is thinking because they're not going to tell you, obviously. But sometimes with professors or even the students, you may think like you could kind of tell or feel in your heart that they might be a little racist. And then it makes you like super uncomfortable, especially if you're like the only Black kid in the class, which is very likely to happen. And then like no one talks to you, or like the teacher just refuses to call on you, like stuff like that, which can, I would say, it's kind of crazy just how well Black students are able to perform with all of these things stacked against us. So it doesn't really make sense how, I guess, unvalued we are when we've had to overcome so many different things like generational trauma and even food insecurity and stuff, and you still are able to perform at such a high level. Like we already have so much stacked against us that other people don't, but we're able to perform at the same level or even above them. I think that tells you something, but it really depends. I also have been able to kind of just focus on my friend group and not really worry about what is happening in the wide greater like Marquette world. But it's definitely something you have to take into consideration. But I try not to let that be the definition of my college experience, even though it's obviously something you can't ignore. And I don't want to say that like it's something that like it definitely needs to be fixed, but you kind of just try to get as much as you can out of your college education.
Yeah. It's funny that we have, like you said, so many of those things, regarding adversity that we have to face and still are doing what we need to do. And, that does build that character, and that does help you in those situations where you might not be in such an environment like college. This might be something that you deal with in the workplace, or just outside of that environment. So it is kind of a level of training, if you will, to kind of get through those different things. Now, you did mention your circle of friends that you keep in close contact with. What other ways do you kind of find support, maybe specifically with those things that you deal with as being a Black student, but just in general? How do you find the support to stay motivated and still enjoy yourself on campus?
Mm-hmm. I definitely think the members of Black Student Council are a big proponent of that, especially the president and vice president. They're both such nice people. And if I'm ever having any issues, I can just go and talk to them. And even just the members in general, we all have the same experiences. I feel like I kind of call it a little HBCU because on the PWI, when you have so few Black people, you kind of just have to stick together out of necessity. And I feel like that bond is so strong that it could even be stronger than what it would be at an HBCU, because they're there, like you're the majority. But if you're the minority, you kind of have to just be with each other. But also the like main person for my scholarship, his name's DJ Todd. He is a very, very large proponent of like keeping me motivated and on task. And also Eric Albinson and just everyone in that whole program, they kind of help keep me on task and make sure that I am taking care of myself mentally and also being able to perform at the highest level possible.
Yeah. DJ is a good dude. Yeah, I remember the latter half of my experience there and just interacting with him when he first started. He's always been a really good component and definitely valued, by the students and the school itself. So shout outs to DJ and the support that you're getting on campus. So one last few questions I have for you now. You mentioned a few things in terms of, your experience when it came to the applications, getting onto campus, just all of that in a combination. What advice would you give to high schoolers who are looking to pursue college, whether it's Marquette, whether it's just kind of anywhere? What maybe are the most important things that you got out of your experience that you would want to pass down?
I would definitely tell them to use their resources, and if you don't have any, seek them out actively, and just make sure, because there are people that want to help you succeed as much, or people in organizations that really want to see you win. And don't ever think that you have no one that's on your side, because there's always someone that would want to help you be the best you that you can be. And never make cost be the reason that you don't go to college. Like if you just don't want to, then that's fine. But if you want to go, then don't be like, oh, it's too expensive, I can't pay for that. Like there are ways, you can find ways to get around that. Like I said, use your resources. Or even then, if I didn't get enough money to go to school, I was gonna go to like MATC or UWM and get my associate's degree and then go to the school that you want to. Like if you have a dream school and you get a very like large amount of money to go to another school that you might not want to go to, make sure like just don't pass up on that because it's not the school you want to go to. Because you could still go to your dream school for grad school or something, but just get the basics done as cheaply as you possibly can without going into debt, because that is not a good thing. So just use your resources. Make sure you are aware of the different things that are at your disposal, and that if you want to go to school, you can go to community college. There's nothing wrong with that. And I assure you, nobody cares where you went to school. Like if you go to a state school or like it really doesn't matter to anyone. They see like a resume and you went to a school, they're like, oh, that's a bad school. They do not care. As long as you have a degree, just make sure you do what makes sense for you. And that allows you to, I guess, get a degree with the least amount of struggle possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've yet to find somebody say, oh, that's a bad school on a resume. So yeah, so definitely pursue, like you said, the dream school or whatever is going to pay the most, and being resourceful, using those resources that are available to you. And then, like you said, I think is a really good point, seeking them out if you don't have those available, or at least think that you might not have those available. Just go ahead and seek them out. So, a few more questions here now. And this might be a little bit different now that we're kind of in this different setting when it comes to campus, but have you been able to experience any of the traditions that they have on campus? And then if so, maybe out of all of those, or even something new that you have experienced, which one has been your favorite?
I don't really know of any campus traditions. I'm sure that there are some, but I have no idea what they are. But I think I'll say that I think National Marquette Day is pretty cool. Everyone just goes around in Marquette gear. And I was walking with my friend and someone said, ring out Ahoya. And another person said, like, how are you, at the exact same time. So I didn't know what to say. And I kind of just walked away. I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Like, I didn't know that this was a thing. Like, am I supposed to say ring out Ahoya back? So then I just decided to stay silent and walk past.
Pretend like you didn't hear them.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Ring out Ahoya. That's definitely, back in their warrior days, one of the phrases that they had. So, and then lastly, and then you're a freshman, I'm sure you have a lot of other experiences to kind of go through, but even with your experience now, if there's like one rite of passage, something that all college students either go through or struggle that, you feel like everybody has to go through, they talk about, you got to be broke. You got to, you have the ramen set up, make grilled cheese with an iron, whatever the case is. What do you think is the rite of passage that all college students should go through?
I definitely think questioning your choice to come to college in the first place is a rite of passage for college students. Sometimes there are days and you're just like, why am I even here? I could be working. And it's like, does this even make sense? And just like, yeah, stuff like that. And it's just, I don't even know. I think that's just a common thing, or maybe it's just in these pandemic times, but the college transition is no joke. Such a different thing than high school entirely. And it's just, sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming. But I feel like some people say that that's also a thing you experience in senior year, but I'm obviously not there yet. So maybe I'll give you an update. But for now, yeah. I definitely think it's kind of questioning whether or not you should actually be here and just how worthwhile is being in college. But I do think it's worthwhile. But, sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah, you got those days sometimes. It happens to the best of us. Yeah, but no, I think that's something that it's a marathon. You're only in that first year, and maybe that first year feels like a really long time. And especially as you're kind of going through that transition. So sometimes like, is this right? Should I be here? No, but yeah, like you said, you kind of find your way back to, whatever those goals are, and, why is it worthwhile? You find your why, and then you kind of keep going. So definitely good stuff there. So Arianna, that's all I have for you. Thank you for sharing. Are there any last words that you have for our listeners? Any way that if any of the listeners want to get in touch with you, I'm going to give you the floor to share.
Okay. You can contact me in my email. It's my last name, first name @gmail.com. So BaltonArianna@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's ETHERELBLACKBEING. So Ethereal Black Being, that's been my tag name since I was like 11. So don't mind it. But yeah. So if you want to talk to me about anything, I'm very open to it. I don't mind. Might be busy, but I'll hit you back at my earliest convenience.
Perfect. All right. We'll make sure all of that is in the description. So thank you, Arianna, for sharing your experience and joining us for the show. And then thanks to everybody who's been listening and watching. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to the podcast. Also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then you can check out our website, inquirehire.com. We got a lot of great resources there for student success. So until next time, peace.